So I'm very glad and fortunate and blessed that she also decided to come with me to Special Ed Finance. One of the things that attracted to me about the firm, if you go to the next slide, specifically looking at city advisory experience, I think this is an attribute and an asset that we're able to bring along in addition to my experience with the city since 2007. Currently, we represent over 110 Texas cities. And since 2008, we've conducted 539 Texas financings as financial advisor for a little over $5 billion. And you can see there the other clients that we represent in the city. You can see Amarillo, Brenham, Hutto, Killeen, Temple, Round Rock. And so we're very active also with development type financings, with water financings. We're one of the most experienced financial advisors when it comes to a city financing. So I think, again, that's a benefit of me joining the firm is that we have a large team that is very experienced with city finances. If you go to the next page, page 5, I've had the honor of representing and being part of the city since 2007. In that time, I've been blessed. I've been able to assist you all with 10 financings for a little over $37.7 million. And some of that was for new projects, and others were for refinancings or restructurings as well. Particularly in 2010 and 2015, I think where we added value to the city is that we restructured the bonds that were supported or used for the event center. And so we were able to guide the city through that restructuring. We were able to talk to the rating agencies and the bond investors and make that financing successful so that the city could afford its payments and restructure that transaction. And again, as I stated earlier, although you don't issue bonds every year, we do help the city with various federal mandated reporting and state mandated reporting through continuing disclosure services. The last page, ladies and gentlemen, is just the summary of what I shared with you regarding our firm and particularly my experience with the city. And really what I could say is that over that time, we've been able to develop a very strong relationship with the city and our businesses about relationships and about trust. And I think we've been able to earn that trust from the administration. We have a wonderful working relationship. I give my clients my cell phone number, and I mean it, that they can call me anytime on the weekends and the evenings. I'm here to help the city be successful. But really, it doesn't matter what firm or what's on my business card. From the perspective of the advice that we give to the city and the processes that we use to help the city, nothing changes. It's still me, it's still Rachel Reyes, that's a part of the team, and so really all that changes is my email address and my office number, but my cell phone number stayed the same, and the quality service that the city has received in the past and should expect in the future, if you so decide to keep us, is that's not going to change. That's going to remain the same. And so I'm here humbly before you, asking if we could continue our relationship with the city. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
Yes, sir. Okay, what do you have to offer that Frost Bank was not able to offer?
I thought we would ask the questions whenever it was we got to H. I mean to G.
Well, that's...
To H.
Well, at this particular, it is a presentation, so Councilman Jimenez can ask the question. And then we'll get to G and H.
Okay. Well, he asked, what, are there any questions?
I'll follow protocol, whatever you...
Yes, I will allow a question.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, I didn't realize, I apologize. I didn't know
My
that
question to you,
process. Yes, sir.
what are you bringing to the table that Frost Bank wasn't able to?
Well, first, the relationship that we have directly, I personally have directly with the city in our experience with the various transactions that we've conducted for the cities, the various restructurings. And first and foremost, the Frost Bank, it is a wonderful company, and they treated me very fairly, and we're wonderful. I have nothing bad to say about them. They're a great company. But I did decide to move to this firm because this firm specializes in what I do, and that's solely as financial advisor. My role as financial advisor, ladies and gentlemen, is not to lend you the money. I'm here basically in an extension of the administration and guiding you through the process in trying to find that money. So we find the lenders, we find the banks, and really at the end of the day, my main job is try to get you the lowest interest rates possible so that the taxes that you have to set each year or the utility rates that you have to set each year are going to be as low as possible based off of the low interest rates that I was able to get you through guiding you through the financings. And so this is, again, a very specialized field, and I feel very honored to be a part of this organization. I think the experience that we talked about earlier regarding the various cities that we represent throughout Texas and the multitude of advisors that are associated with that.
Really, you didn't answer my question. My question was, what's the difference between this entity that you went to and Frost Bank? Are you able to compete with interest rates and everything? Are you going to be able to offer the same thing as you did with Frost Bank as you would with this other entity?
Okay, so going back, my role, even when I was at Frost Bank and it was a bank, I never lent money basically. And so my role with the city has never been the lender. So I can't offer you interest rates, but I do am able to attain those interest rates from various banks, the negotiations that we have and the way we structure your bonds, just like we did with the restructuring of the event center that occurred in 2010, 2015. What we bring to the table here is the fact that this is all we do, financial advisory. And so we're very specialized, and our experience is one of the top in the state, as we talked about in the charts. We're the top financial advisor in the state of Texas. So I think that those are the differences. I'm not going to talk bad about Frost Bank. They're a wonderful company. But I think really the biggest and most important thing, I think, is just the relationship that the city manager, Ms. Moreno, is able to call me at any hour in the day and call me and get our advice, and I think after that we follow up pretty quickly, either myself or Rachel, with the information that the city is requesting. So really what I'm offering today is that familiarity that the administration and the city of Floresville has with my services. I indicated before, most of our time was spent at another firm called Southwest Securities, and that's when we were introduced to the city.
I have a question.
Mrs. Moreno first, and then Mrs. Kenji.
Okay. Mr. Jimenez, what I wanted to let you know is that even when Mr. Quiroga was in Frost Bank, when we did the tax notes and the USDA bonds, they were not all from Frost. We do have 2 loans on Frost. We have a tax note with BB&T. We have the other tax note is with another bank. So his services don't reflect on what bank we're gonna choose for the bond. That is presented by him and tells us what interest rate they're offering to the city. And that's what he does for us, because I cannot go out there and get interest rates or talk to a banker and say, what best interest do you give me for the city to do these debt or these loans?
Go ahead, Mrs. Moreno.
Because I don't have the experience as an investor, as an advisor, and so that's his role, to come and tell me these are the different banks and these are the different rates that they're offering. And then we go and we respond to their offer.
Mrs. Kenji first, and then Mrs.
Okay, what's gonna happen to the loan that the 10 that we did, the refinance loan?
That's a great question. And Frost, or even the other firm that I worked for before, we weren't the actual lenders to that. So by you continuing with our relationship as financial advisor, the financings that have already been conducted and in place, nothing changed. And what we did for the city when we did those transactions is that we were able to get you fixed interest rate. We took advantage of the low interest rate environment we've been in a long time. And so none of that changes. And also, if you decide to stay with us, and I hope you do, Frost will still have an opportunity to provide other services to the city. They're a very strong lender, they're a very strong underwriter, and so, you know, if you switch to us, that's not the end of Frost. Frost is a very large corporation, and they're able to offer other services to the city. But no, man, none of the finance that you've done already, nothing changes. They'll stay in place.
And the last report that you gave us, Mr. Kevin Escobar signed it also. So both of y'all did it together, or?
The way most firms are run, and even ours is, and even at Southwest Securities, is that I was the person that I guess started the relationship back in 2007, and many times we have support personnel behind us, and so Mr. Escobar in that role was providing support to me for one of the requests and analysis that the city had.
How about Mr. Moran?
He served at that same role, but he has not been part of the financial advisory team on me and representing the city since early 2016.
So if we would stay with Frost, they could take over, right?
Yeah, they can. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're qualified. And,
Mr. Jimenez, I think you had a question too, if Mrs. Cantu is
I'm
here.
not finished yet. Because I
The only difference was, I'm sorry, I just hate talking about myself and everything, because I'd rather talk about my clients and get them the best transaction possible. And so I do feel uncomfortable even showing you over number one, because I just never like that. But what I could bring to the table is the fact that I've been doing this 18 years, and I've been with the city since 2007. And so the other folks that are assigned by the previous firm, and just say, they don't have as much experience as I do, or the client base that I was able to build over like my last 18 years of experience. So that's really the major difference, and I think the familiarity also with what the bonds have, what we've done here in the past, and the relationship we have with the administration, I think that's the major difference as well.
Because I feel like, you know, SPFI has only been in business for 11 years versus Frost, who has been in business for over 150 years. I mean, what I'm thinking is what's better for the city of Floresville.
Yeah, and like I said, Frost is a wonderful bank, and that's exactly right. They've been around since 1950 as a bank. This area that they're in, when they hired me in 2014, and when I decided to go to Frost, they were not in this very specific and specialized area of financial advisory services. They recruited me to start this operation, and since that time, it's primarily been myself as the senior advisor of the group. And so I wanted to go to a firm that has a lot of other experienced advisors on the team, because I think that's valuable for me to be able to talk with advisors that have been doing this as long, if not longer, than me, to get also different ideas. I think it's a valuable asset to bring to our clients. And so it's true, Frost has been around since 150 years, and we've been a bank. But the service that I provide to the city, I don't provide banking services to you. I'm not a lender. I don't offer those interest rates. I try to get you those interest rates by talking to various banks out there. And so my role as advisor is not as a lender, as Frost Bank has been doing for 150 years. And so this area is still pretty new for them.
Okay.
Ma'am, I would say that staff is recommending for us to move, because I see that back when 2007 that you all decided to make this transition. I can see why. But my personal experience as city manager with Victor is that one of the first things that Connie and I did was actually our credit rating. I'm sorry, forgive me. Our credit rating was not actually where it should have been when I first came as city manager. And Victor literally came several times here in the office and helped us do so that we can improve our credit rating. And Phelps stood before you a little while ago, and they were able to get a better rating because of the city of Floresville's credit rating, because our credit rating has improved. And so what I want to say is that it is actually not the products from Frost Bank, it's actually the advisor, and that's what we're asking for, is our financial advisor. We may do business with Frost Bank going forward, depending on whatever you all need to do, but we need to think about the advisor giving us that finance, to come back to say, not, and he's not just for doing bank for their business. We have another product that we could have refinanced because we could have saved a little bit of money, but Victor said it didn't meet the points and criteria. He could have done it, but it wasn't necessarily making sense. And clearly, over the last 10 years, no one knows our big lending business as Victor has been able to do so, and to shepherd us through some landmines, because I think at one point in time, your former administration wasn't necessarily talking to your financial advisor, and I don't make a move without your financial advisor. And so we've done some pretty big things. I'm looking at $39 million, that's a lot of money. And we have some other things that we need to take into consideration as we're doing some other project that's coming in the near future and further out. So I would recommend that we make this transition. I know it's a hard decision to make. It's not easy. Staff did not take it lightly. County has researched that, and so we are recommending that, and so we look forward to hoping that you can agree with our recommendation.
I'd like to wrap up the presentation, and thank you. Do you have anything else to reiterate to the council?
No, just, I think Ms. Turner probably did a better job than me in explaining it, but whatever happens, I'm really, it's an honor to be a part of the city, and I appreciate the relationship, and we're here to help you and help you be successful in all your financings. And so I really appreciate the opportunity for me to be in front of you.
When we get to the motion, because I'm going to go ahead and go to item 3G.
Hold on one second. You won't be able to come back to this.
We haven't even, I thought you were,
No,
I thought we were gonna, okay, you were gonna do G?
yes, because it pertains to Mr. Quiroga and Crossman. So
I
moving.
don't know. If we could change. How come we can keep the,
Well, that's up to the council. These are agenda items we're gonna tackle. So we're going on to, thank you, Mr. Quiroga.
Thank you for having me.
Moving on to item 3G, and that's consideration and action to terminate the financial advisory services contract with Frost Bank. I'm gonna let Mrs. Turner take that one.
Yes, our financial advisor has relocated to specialized public finance, and so staff is recommending that we terminate our agreement with Frost Bank, which will allow us to engage specialized public financing.
Okay.
So I'm recommending that we terminate that agreement.
Okay, do I have council questions or concerns? Okay. If no questions or concerns, I will entertain a motion. I have a motion on the floor to terminate the financial advisory services service contract with Frost Bank. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mrs. Martinez. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Okay, as 2-2, I break the tie, and I would recommend that we go ahead and terminate this contract services with Frost Bank. So, motion carries to 3-2. Moving on to 3H. Consideration and action to engage Specialized Public Finance Incorporated as financial advisor. And Ms. Turner, it's listed under you, but I will.
Yes, Mayor, in fact, that we have terminated the contract with Frost Bank, the staff would recommend that we engage specialized public financing, our financial advisor to be Victor Quiroga.
Okay. I have the item on the agenda. Any questions or concerns by council? If not, I will entertain a motion. I have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Jimenez. Do I have a second? Mrs. Martinez, and I apologize, I didn't ask for citizens' comments on item G. Do I have any citizens' comments on item H? Okay. If not, I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Is it 3? Did you? Okay. 4-0. Thank you so much. And citizens, I know, I'm gonna go back to item G in case there were any citizens' comments on that item. Thank you, Mr. Quiroga. I look forward to working with you.
Likewise, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for your patience, everyone. Going back to new business, item 3A, consideration and action to approve proclamation 2019-001 to proclaim the month of April as National Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. We do have members of the Guadalupe Valley Family Violence Shelter here, and I'd like to welcome you up to the podium.
Good evening. Well, first I would like to start off by saying my name is Hannah Fisher-Klug. I'm a Community Engagement Specialist and Sexual Assault Advocate at the Guadalupe Valley Family Violence Shelter and Crisis Center. That's a mouthful, I know. First, I just want to start off by saying that it's been a real pleasure over the last about a year and a half that I've been able to kind of establish working relationships throughout the community with individuals and organizations alike. But I just kind of want to go over some basic services in case any of you have forgotten, or in case there are citizens here that are unaware of what we are doing in the community. We are a crisis center and emergency shelter for survivors of dating violence, domestic violence, harassment, sexual violence, all of the above, stalking, any of that, as well as elder abuse. And we provide services non-residentially as well as residentially in Guadalupe County, Gonzales County, Karnes County, and Wilson County. One big initiative that we've started is called RISE, and we, Wilson County, had the honor of being the first county that we serve to implement RISE, and it's Resources and Information for Survivor Empowerment, where we work very closely with prosecutors and law enforcement in the community to kind of nip it in the bud, really, by getting to survivors who are wanting to drop charges, or they're wanting to kind of move forward without holding their perpetrators accountable. So in the instance that somebody wants to sign an affidavit of non-prosecution, what the prosecutors will do is they'll mandate that the survivor goes through the crisis center and registers for a RISE information session. And what that does is kind of informs them on the dynamics of violence and how violence progresses in relationships, family relationships, dating relationships, friendships, kind of gives them a basic 101, but also kind of goes over case outcomes and consequences of those behaviors and things like that, as well as ways to keep themselves safe moving forward if maybe they're in a position where they're not ready to leave the situation. But that's been a really big initiative that we got started in Wilson County, and we're very proud of it. Karnes County is kind of at the tail end, like just getting there. They're approving our RISE presentation and outline currently. We're waiting for that approval. But we start in Gonzales County on the second Wednesday of May. So we're kind of expanding that initiative, and we're really excited about it. Because the more prevention work we can do, the better. I think you'll be reading the proclamation. You'll read over that we provide services to survivors. But in fiscal year 2018, we rendered over 1,300 services to 82 survivors of sexual violence. And April was, still is, Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. And so not only are we working on prevention, but we're also kind of working on gaining awareness in the community on resources that are available and things like that. And so one event that we collaborated on was called the Amazing Race, and we held it in our home city, which is Seguin, but I would like to kind of implement something like that for the high schools here in, or the high school here in Floresville, eventually, once we can kind of design something. But essentially it was teams that went around town and they answered riddles and challenges, and as they went around town, each station that they went to was an agency that would provide response or services to a survivor of some sort. So we had the county attorney's office involved, and we had the PD involved, and the sheriff's office involved, and the child advocacy center involved, and the hospital with our SANE nurses, and everyone collaborated on that event, and it was a lot of fun. But our favorite part of it was kind of getting the community to be a part of it and really gain a better understanding of what agencies like ours do in the community and how we can respond and collaborate with other agencies to provide support to survivors. So just a few of the other services that we provide, we have been offering counseling. All of our services are free and confidential, but we do offer licensed professional counseling, personalized safety planning, crisis intervention. We have a 24/7 hotline where an advocate waits on the line for folks to ask questions or tell their stories, or the advocate can point them in the right direction of resources and services that may be of benefit to them. So our hotline really brings in most of our clientele, and we're really glad that we have it, because some people call anonymously, and if they didn't have that safe and secure way to report things that are happening in their lives that may be dangerous or risky, it makes it that much harder for us to reach them with support. So we're very proud of that. We also offer parenting classes for parents of children who have been exposed to domestic violence. And we offer a class called HEART, which is Helping End Abusive Relationship Tendencies. I teach both of those classes to clientele all over, and I also do a lot of prevention work in schools and organizations and communities. I go and do presentations, kind of like RISE, on the dynamics of violence and the dynamics of power and control and how they have an effect on that as well. But those are just a few of the services we provide. We also provide legal accompaniment and accompaniment to law enforcement in the hospital, assistance with applying for protective orders and pro bono divorces and things like that. So, and the list just goes on. We are really, really proud to be able to help survivors in a way that some agencies aren't able to reach them. And so being able to work together with other agencies in your community has been a true blessing for our agency, but not only our agency, the survivors that we're serving. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the agency, on behalf of Guadalupe Valley Family Violence Shelter, for just providing the ongoing support that you have been providing with, for us, and just allowing me to kind of spread my wings in the community and reach as many people as I can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do any council members have any questions? Any citizens' comments? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve proclamation 019-301. People think about the April as National Session.
Okay.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, and I will read the proclamation as soon as I take a look. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And the proclamation reads, whereas every 2 minutes another person in the United States is sexually assaulted, and in Texas 2 in 5 women and 1 in 5 men are victims of sexual assault, and in fiscal year 2018, the Guadalupe Valley Family Violence Shelter rendered 1,326 services to 82 survivors of sexual violence. Whereas, according to a study conducted by the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault and the University of Texas at Austin School of Social Work, approximately 6.3 million Texans have been sexually victimized. Whereas most victims are sexually assaulted by someone they know, and only 10% of rapes are ever reported to the police. Whereas it is appropriate to salute the more than 20 million victims who have survived sexual assault in the United States, and the efforts of victims, volunteers, and professionals who combat sexual assault. Whereas national and community organizations and private sector supporters should be recognized and applauded for their work in promoting awareness about sexual assault. Whereas police, forensic workers, and prosecutors should be recognized and commended for their hard work and innovative strategies to increase the percentage of sexual assault cases that resolve in the prosecution, and incarceration of the offenders. Whereas sexual violence is a persistent and pervasive problem in our society, one that requires attention year-round, and in order to foster healthy communities, all citizens must support the effort to end sexual violence